then this other interesting thing started happening, and I don't know why I started doing this, but I would come home from class and I would get into bed and I would start meditating. And nobody had taught me how to meditate. I just started doing it. I would lie in bed and I'd close my eyes and I would just explore. And I would move my awareness through my body, and I'd explore my breath. And I'd spend hours doing this. And I didn't know, I don't know why, I think that I must have done it in some other lifetime, because I don't know how I knew it to do it. And the other interesting thing is I started exploring my sexual energy. I was like, I still feel like it's so funny that that's like the one thing I feel like, oh, is that an okay thing to say? And isn't that a funny thing that it's gotten that rap, that it's like I have to be like, oh, but it's just sexual energy. But the truth is, my sexual energy had been completely shut down, and I don't want to say, was I ashamed of my sexual energy? In some way, I thought of sexual energy as bad, as lower, as animal, as, I'd gotten a lot of messages from the world. And in general, I was just like, I went to an all-girls school, so I hadn't really explored my sexual energy very much. And so and it wasn't, it was interesting because it was in a very tantric way. I didn't know what I was doing, but I would explore moving energy, basically sexual orgasmic energy, through my body to different parts of my body. And so it wasn't like, it was a meditation. It was a meditation with my sexual energy. And it's interesting because I stopped throwing up and I started masturbating. It's because it is a release of energy. So I think in some way it really helped me shift. And I never forced my eating disorder to go away. I always wanted it to go away. But it just receded. It basically slowly disappeared, and then one day it was gone. I stopped throwing up about 8 or 9 years. It could be longer than that. Wait, 21. And how old am I now? 34. So that's 31, 13 years. 13 years ago. Yeah. And I have no urge to throw up my food. I mean, it's not something that kind of like comes up or goes, it's like, it feels complete, And I read in a book this line, and it says, in order to really cure a mental illness, you need to realize that you're not your personality. And ultimately, that's why I feel like I cured myself. It was that through meditation, through yoga, through a lot of the realizations that I had, I opened my mind enough to realize that everything that I thought I was, I wasn't. And everything that I thought I was is completely malleable. So in other words, I wasn't my personality. If that makes sense. It's kind of deep. Yeah. And I'll explain that to my clients. It's like, we are both the wave and the ocean. So I am Brooke, but I am also like this infinitely transforming, growing, evolving consciousness, And in some way, I realized that back then. And so, people say, well, how can I cure? I mean, I feel blessed that I got to receive those realizations, because, healing is an art. It's not one way, people have to learn different things for their healing. It's really a spiritual journey. I tell somebody, I said, if you want to heal your eating disorder, are you ready to go on a spiritual journey? Because basically it's like, there are things that you haven't yet learned about yourself and the nature of life and reality, that once you learn, you're going to come into a state of balance. Basically, you don't know the truth. And I think truth is always higher levels of truth and truth and truth and truth, But basically, you're out of balance because you're not seeing things accurately. So the more truth you realize in your being, the more healthy you're going to become, So basically, it's just a learning adventure. you know, not an easy one. But, you know, in all my, I mean, the interesting thing, you know, 2 weeks before putting this project together and making it happen, you know, I haven't had insomnia since I was 18. I got insomnia, a royal case of insomnia. I could not believe that it came up. But I think it came up for me to get back in touch with a lot of where I've come from, you know, because again, it was like fear of failure, of not doing a good job with this project, of letting people down, you know. And it was just really interesting to see that there was a deeper level of healing for me, that it wasn't just about making this show and making it even for other people, that it's like, wow, no, you're going to have to learn something in doing this, you know, and that no matter what it is, you know, okay, can I cure my eating disorder? Yeah, you can, but you're always going to be dealing with stuff, you know, you're always going to be learning and growing, and, you know, the idea, you know, you're going to always be going through stuff, and how you deal with what you're going through, that's what can change a lot.